Good evening, everyone. Um, Hope everyone is having a great week 5 of Rebel Reboot. It's Tuesday night. I'm hopping on a little bit late tonight. Tuesday's a pretty long day for me, but I definitely wanted to get online and put this video up. Just a little week 5 motivation, and then I want to talk about a topic called consistency before complaints. Okay, so I want to have this talk, not because anybody in this group is complaining, but this talk is really more about checking in with yourself, where you're at, and reminding you what this program is all about. And I know when it comes to nutrition, there's a lot of information, a lot of data, but this program, I'm really also wanting you to focus on mindset because a lot of things having to do with nutrition are really hard to continue sustainably in our lifestyle unless we really address the mindset and tackle those long-term issues. So I definitely know that each and every one of you are going to be successful if you present one quality. Okay. And that is to be consistent. So with consistency, honestly, you can accomplish basically anything. You have to take a look at what you're actually doing before we can start complaining to ourselves about progress we aren't seeing. So chances are you're doing a lot better than you think you are. We are our biggest critics, right? So what other things are you experiencing? Do you have a plan for your meals? Is this becoming a little bit easier? Are you getting to your macros numbers a lot easier than when you first started? Is this becoming more automatic? Maybe you're starting to notice that you could potentially intuitively eat and get really close to your macros. That's a good sign. You are doing something, and what you are doing is working. Okay, I want you to think about that. So when it comes to looking at your MyFitnessPal or looking at your food journal, we're looking at our accountability list as well. So lots of different tools that we're gathering data from. And this accountability list is the list that I sent out a few days ago, where actually we touched on it early last week, where I want you to list out things you want to accomplish this week and what number of days out of the 7 days in the week. Okay, so we're looking at MyFitnessPal, Food Journal, and the accountability list. And did you do what you said you were going to do this week? So if you look and you are, that's great. If you're not, we are not trying to come from a place of judgment. We don't want to say that we totally failed, but it's an indication that we need to do one of two things. And that is, number one, adjust what we're doing, or number two, adjust our expectations, right? So when you set out to do something for the week, if you are not not hitting 9 out of 10 on that, like a 90%, you need to really start to recognize whether or not it's something that can actually happen. Can you be 90% compliant? Or we need to address whether or not we should scale back your expectation. You need to address that. For example, if you know that you're not going to be able to eat vegetables at every single meal, every single day, scale it back and say, okay, I'm going to have vegetables at every lunch and dinner. Okay, so there's your new behavior-based habit. If you still cannot do that, you need to perhaps scale it back. Another step, I'm going to have vegetables at dinner every day. Okay, so then when you do it, it feels a lot better, right? And in this case, it's okay to lower to a reasonable threshold. What we're trying to do here is we're trying to gather data. So again, we don't want to come from this place of judgment. We want to think of ourselves more as scientists gathering data, and I'll go a little bit more into that. So the data that we're gathering, this is what we call feedback, and feedback is not failure. So we're just learning We're looking, we're not winning, we're not losing. It's information so that we can pick up on our patterns and understand what leads us to certain behaviors. Understanding what situations we maybe need to stay out of, and understanding what we need in our environment around us. So be your own scientist. You know, when you're doing a science experiment, you know the steps to it, right? You come up with a hypothesis, you decide what data you're going to collect, you gather that data, and then you analyze and draw conclusions. Those are the steps of an experiment, right? So when you look at your tracking, you can see what's working for you and what's not. So where can I add food? All kinds of information can be gathered when you start to analyze your data. How is this working for me? What adjustments should I make? Should I scale back? There's a few questions, and I'll post these in the comments to the video, that I want you to work on writing down the answers to or thinking about. So number one, what is working well for you so far? Where are your successes in your food choices? Focus first on what you're doing really well. You know, I'm eating protein-dense breakfasts every single day. That's huge. Write that down. You are doing well. You deserve to pat yourself on the back for that. Also think, number two, what improvements can you make when you're looking at your data? So, wow, I notice in my data that I snack every day at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So what can I do? Okay, I need to have snacks on hand at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you know, snacks with me. Those kinds of things are what improvements we can make by looking at our data. Question number three, what ways are you feeling better? And this can be a number of ways. It can be sleep, energy, you're waking up easier in the morning. Maybe it's more confidence in your ability to make food choices. Maybe you're feeling better about the way you look. So think about what are the ways that you are feeling better. All right, and here is a pretty tough question, and this really sums up what I'm trying to drive home. Number 4, how closely and consistently are you following your Rebel Reboot plan? Have you followed your habits every day? Let's go back to the 5 habits that I posted at the very beginning of the program. You know, go back to those. Are you following those habits at every meal? Are you checking in on what we're practicing every day? If it's not every day, maybe you're doing this once a week, you're going through all the videos and all of the information, that's fine, but are you doing what you said you were going to do? Are you following the mindset prompts? So these questions, the journaling exercises, are you taking this information and using it and practicing it? Am I doing the program like I said I was going to do a majority of the time? And I want to really be careful here. I'm not looking for perfection from anyone. Nobody likes perfection. Nobody is perfect, right? But are you doing what you said you were going to do a majority of the time? These are the questions that you really need to think about when analyzing consistency. And are you being consistent? If you're saying I'm not, if you're saying you're not being consistent, leave the judgment behind and maybe start to reevaluate your expectations. And that is okay, okay? This is not you losing or falling short. I don't want to think about that. But let's evaluate your expectations. Find a way that works for you. The more closely you follow, the better the program is going to work. And you can't lose if you don't quit, right? So think about that. Let's see. If you want to reach those outcome goals, and we talked a lot about this a couple weeks ago, if you want to reach your outcome-based goal, you have to follow through with the behavior-based habits. All right. And I'm not asking you to be perfect. Like I said, you can't be 100% here, but adjust the dial to where you are right now so that you can do a little bit better, just a little bit better. In addition to finding the level of consistency that's going to work for you in your life and your lifestyle, I also encourage you to decide what counts as an adherent to you. So maybe there's a lot of different examples here, but do you need to focus on eating slowly and mindfully? Do you need to focus on having a lean protein at each meal? Do you need to focus on making sure each meal has one vegetable and, one healthy carb? So making sure that you're doing what's important to you, what's adherence for you. Those are all things that can be on your list of adherence, what matters most to you right now, and measure what's really important to you and what's going to get you to where you want to go. So not everyone needs to be tracking macros, and I understand that. It's just a really good baseline for understanding what our body needs, and then we can start to intuitively eat. And we'll touch more on intuitive eating in our final week together. But some of us, we need to focus the most on what is a lean source of protein, what is a healthy carbohydrate, what is a healthy fat. So what is most important to you in this program? Focus on those things. And many of you have already identified this and talked to me about it. What do you want to get out of this? I want to feel good. I want to have energy to put into my workouts, those types of things. So let's revisit that a little bit. When it comes to eating, check off whether or not you are meeting your criteria at the end of the week, and you can sort of assess your overall level of consistency. Look at the success patterns that you've had. Are you more successful at certain times of the day? Are you successful at the same part of the week? Do you do best in certain situations, maybe on your own? And notice that I'm asking you to look at success patterns. And I've said this a few times. I really want to focus on the wins and the things we are doing well. Find a system that's going to work for you. Basically, consistency equals results. So you choose your optimization and adherence level. Better habit consistency means better results. So once you find that level of consistency for you and what's going to work for you, then you lock it down and you adhere to it. And I'm only asking, for you to be a little better toward those goals, not perfect. Nobody's perfect, but be just a little bit better and more consistent. All of these little tiny small improvements that we talk about throughout the program, they all add up, right? So this is why on Fridays, I often ask you to share your victories, because those little things are going to add up, and you're going to look back and you're going to be like, wow, like each of these weeks I was doing these things, and I probably wouldn't have done that if I wasn't participating in this. And these are huge wins, and all of those small improvements add up. So are you doing what you set out to do? If not, adjust accordingly, or step it up just a little bit, if it makes sense for you. And then do not assess with judgment. Think of yourself as a scientist collecting data. Consistency works every single time. All right. Well, I hope you kind of see where I'm going here with this consistency before complaints. Again, not accusing anyone of complaining, but you're starting to ask yourself these questions. Am I doing what I set out to do? And hopefully this helps a little bit. Hope you all have a great rest of your week. I did the macros post a little bit earlier. I'll take a look at your screenshots. If you have really specific questions, go ahead and send me a message, or Facebook message works, an email, any of that. I think everyone has my phone number. You can text me as well. I want to be there for you, and we'll talk soon. Have a good night.